She was the only sister of 4 brothers. Their father was a poor laborer who worked hard to provide for his family. Her brothers also followed their father's footsteps and became laborers. They married her off to a worker who seemed to be a decent man. She did not know much about him, but she trusted her brother's choice. She soon realized that her husband was a kind and caring man who loved her very much. He worked hard to improve their living conditions and eventually got a chance to go abroad for a better opportunity. He did not forget his wife and called her to join him in the foreign land. She was overjoyed and packed her bags to start a new life with him. She could not believe her eyes when she saw the place where they were going to live. It was a beautiful house with all the facilities and comforts. She felt like she was in a dream. Her husband treated her like a queen and gave her everything she wanted. She was happy and grateful for her husband and her fate. She did not forget her father and brothers, though. She often called them and sent them money and gifts. She wanted to share her happiness with them and hoped they were doing well. She missed them a lot and wished to see them again. 2 years passed by and she felt a strong urge to visit her homeland. She asked her husband if they could go back and meet her family. He agreed and booked their tickets. She was excited and decided to surprise her family by not telling them about their arrival. She reached her homeland and felt a wave of nostalgia. She went to her mother's grave first and prayed for her soul. She remembered how her mother had always loved her and supported her. She wished her mother could see her now and be proud of her. She then headed to her father's house, where she expected a warm welcome from her brothers. But when she entered, she saw a different scene. Her brothers looked nervous and scared when they saw her. They did not hug her or greet her. They just stared at her with guilt and fear in their eyes. She felt something was wrong and asked them where their father was. They did not answer her and looked away. She was confused and worried. She asked a neighbor who was passing by, and he told her the shocking truth. Her brothers had kicked their father out of his own house. They had sold his property and spent the money on themselves. They had abandoned their father and left him to fend for himself. He was now living in a small hut in a slum area. He had no one to take care of him or love him. She could not believe what she heard. She felt angry and betrayed by her brothers. How could they do this to their own father? How could they be so cruel and selfish? She ran to the hut where her father was staying and found him lying on a dirty mattress. He looked weak and frail. He had tears in his eyes when he saw her. He was happy and sad at the same time. He was happy to see his daughter after 2 years, and sad to see her hurt by his condition. He tried to hide his emotions and smiled at her. He hugged her and kissed her forehead. He told her how much he missed her and how proud he was of her. She could not hold back her tears and cried with him. She told him how much she loved him and how sorry she was for not being there for him. She told him that he did not have to live in this hut anymore. She told him that he would come with her and live with her and her husband. She told him that he deserved a better life and she would give it to him. He was touched by her words and cried harder. He held her hand and said something that broke her heart. He said, "My beloved daughter, I spent my whole life fighting with the difficulties of life and went through a lot of pain and suffering. But I never gave up and survived, and only 2 times I cried in my life. First, when you were born, I cried because I was ashamed of having a daughter in this society. And second, today, when you came to take me with you, I cried because I was proud of having a daughter like you." She was speechless and sobbed like a child. She realized how wrong he was to be ashamed of her and how right he was to be proud of her. She realized how much he loved her and how much she loved him. She realized how much a woman can do for her family and how much a family can do for a woman. She realized the value of a woman in this world. She hugged him and thanked him for being her father. She took him with her and left the hut. She left behind her brothers who had betrayed their father. She left behind her homeland where she had faced discrimination and injustice. She left behind her past and moved on to her future. She went to her husband who was waiting for her outside. He smiled at her and welcomed her father. He told her that he was happy to have him as his father-in-law. He told her that he was proud of her for being his wife. He told her that he loved her more than anything in this world. She smiled at him and thanked him for being her husband. She hugged him and kissed him. She told him that he was the best thing that ever happened to her. She told him that he was the reason for her happiness and success. She told him that she loved him more than anything in this world. They boarded the plane and flew away. They flew away from the darkness and towards the light. They flew away from the sadness and towards the happiness. They flew away from the hate and towards the love. They flew away with their father who was their blessing. They flew away with their daughter who was their pride. They flew away with their wife who was their life. The lesson of the story is that a woman is a gift from God who can bring joy and wealth to her family. She should be respected and loved by her family and society. She should not be judged by her gender, but by her character and actions. She can achieve anything with her kindness and courage. A woman is a blessing, not a burden. If you have liked the story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more inspirational stories.